If there's one sentence that can start a slow, spiraling descent into madness, it's, "We need to talk about your brother." That's what my mom said to me right after I walked in the door, still holding a Chick-fil-A bag in one hand and my work laptop in the other. "Can I at least finish my waffle fries?" I asked. "No," she said, like a Bond villain about to unveil her evil plan. "It's urgent." Let me rewind. I'm Drew, 27 years old, project manager for a mid-sized tech firm in Dayton, Ohio. I'm boringly responsible, which is the kind of personality trait that makes relatives say things like, "Drew will understand," right before they throw you under a bus made of guilt and old family expectations. I'd been living in the basement suite of my parents' house since I was 24, paid my rent on time, didn't throw parties, and had my own private entrance, kitchenette, bathroom, the whole setup. It wasn't glamorous, but it worked, especially in a city where rent is basically code for highway robbery. Then there's my younger brother, Blake, 25, married to a girl named Katie, and father to two adorable tornadoes named Liam and Mia. Blake has always been, let's just say, entrepreneurially inconsistent. He started at least 5 businesses, including a beard oil subscription service and an NFT art page called Crypto Crows. Shockingly, none of them worked out. I knew things had been rough since his last project, a drone delivery startup, crashed both literally and financially. Still, I'd pitched in here and there. Diapers, formula, even a couple babysitting stints that nearly broke me. I thought I was helping. So imagine my surprise when my parents sat me down and said, "We've decided Blake and his family will move into the basement. You'll be moving into the hobby room." I blinked. "You mean your fabric dungeon?" "It's not a dungeon," Mom said defensively. "It's cozy. There's natural light. There's one dusty window the size of a microwave." Dad, who generally treats every conversation like it's optional, finally chimed in. "They've got 2 kids, Drew. You don't." "And I have a job," I snapped. "I work from home. I need space." "You don't need that much space," Mom said, in the same tone you use when convincing a toddler they don't really need the green crayon. I couldn't believe it. I paid rent. I paid for groceries. I paid for repairs when the boiler exploded last winter. Meanwhile, Blake still hadn't figured out how to spell insurance properly. "They need the space more," Dad repeated like it was scripture. "It's just what makes sense." I laughed. A short, bitter laugh that I immediately wanted to choke back. Makes sense to who? But they were already describing the new arrangement, how they'd put up a curtain for privacy, move some of the fabric boxes, maybe throw in a second-hand dresser to make it feel like home. My home. The one I'd paid for. The one I'd respected and kept clean while Blake once burned a frozen pizza in the oven and nearly set off the fire alarm at Thanksgiving. I didn't say much after that. I just nodded, walked down to the basement one last time, and packed up everything I could carry into 2 storage bins and a duffel. I left my framed Star Wars poster on the wall like some tragic memorial. That night, I tried sleeping in the hobby room. Ever try fitting your life into a place that smells like cinnamon potpourri and mildew? I laid on a twin mattress on the floor and stared at a ceiling that felt like it was judging me. And the worst part? I didn't even have a door. Just a floral curtain Mom proudly hung, like that solved everything. The next morning, I woke up tangled in a flannel blanket that smelled like peppermint oil and sadness. I had a kink in my neck from sleeping on a mattress that felt like it had been stuffed with dryer lint and betrayal. It was 6:30 a.m., and I could already hear the chaos below. Blake's kids were screaming, either a game of tag or a full-on toddler uprising. A Mickey Mouse Clubhouse episode blasted through the vents like it was being broadcast by NASA. I dragged myself to the kitchen to make coffee. The counter was already covered in cereal bowls, toys, and a rogue pacifier floating in a glass of orange juice. Katie breezed past me in a robe, barely making eye contact. "Morning," I said flatly. "Oh hey," she replied without looking up. "Do you know if we're out of almond milk?" I blinked. I didn't even know we had almond milk. She laughed like I'd made a dad joke. I wasn't joking. That's when Blake strutted in wearing gym shorts and a grin. "Bro, can we borrow your Netflix login again? Mia accidentally signed us out." "Didn't you write it down last time?" "Nah," he said, rummaging through the fridge. Katie thought she did, but it was for Hulu. I stared at him. "You've had free rent for 48 hours and you're already asking for streaming services?" He looked offended. "It's not like we're freeloading. You're literally freeloading." Blake shrugged. "We're family. Ah yes, the magic word. Family. Apparently, the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card in this house. No rent. Family. No groceries. Family. No boundaries. Definitely family. Later that day, I tried to work from the hobby room. My Wi-Fi signal was trash, and every time someone flushed the upstairs toilet, it sounded like a rocket launch. I joined a Zoom call with my camera off, pretending the background noise was construction and not my niece banging a toy hammer on the floor above my head. My manager asked if I was working from a shared space. I told him it was temporary. He nodded in that way people do when they're silently updating your HR file. That night, Mom peeked into the room. "How's it going, sweetie?" "Oh, it's great," I said. "I love sleeping next to an unplugged sewing machine and a bin of artificial wreaths." She gave me that smile, the one that says, "You'll understand when you're a parent," which, for the record, is the most infuriating smile on earth. "We're just so grateful you're being a team player," she said, as if I'd volunteered for this circus. I wanted to scream, but instead I nodded. Because apparently, sarcasm was my only safe outlet in this house. By week 2, I'd reached a point I like to call closet rage. It's when you wake up at 3 a.m., tangled in a discount flannel blanket, step on a roll of Christmas ribbon, and wonder if you're starring in a Hallmark horror movie called The Forgotten Son. The hobby room wasn't even trying to hide its resentment toward me. Every time I opened a drawer, I'd knock over a ceramic Santa. There were 3 plastic bins labeled holiday napkin rings, assorted, and all of them glared at me like I'd overstayed my welcome. Meanwhile, downstairs, Blake and Katie were living it up. My old suite had become a family kingdom. I walked past one afternoon and saw Mia coloring on my old coffee table while Liam launched Cheerios into the air like they were fireworks. Blake was napping on my couch. My couch. The one I got from Craigslist and hauled down those awful stairs by myself. I went to the kitchen to find something, anything, to eat. My lunch from the day before. Gone. My carefully packed salmon bowl with a sticky note that said Drew's, do not touch, was now apparently just a suggestion. Even the emergency ramen stash I kept behind the cereal was missing. In its place, organic kale puffs. I didn't even know what that meant. "Katie," I asked, trying to stay civil, "did you guys take my food?" She didn't even look up from her phone. "Oh, I thought it was for everyone." "For everyone? You thought a labeled salmon bowl with a Post-it and an angry emoji was for public use?" She shrugged. "Sorry." Blake walked in a second later holding Liam and asked, "Hey man, do you know the Disney Plus password? We accidentally logged out again." I stared at him. "Have you considered paying for your own account?" He laughed like I'd told a joke. "Come on, we're family." "Ah yes, the sacred family clause. The one that means I'm supposed to pay rent, provide food, share streaming accounts, give up my private living space, and smile while doing it because blood." That night, I tried to focus on work. I had a presentation the next morning and needed to finish a deck. But it's kind of hard to concentrate when Mia's having a full-scale meltdown about a sock and Blake is blasting YouTube parenting videos through the floorboards. At midnight, I received a text from my mom. "Mom, hey sweetie, just a reminder, rent is due Friday. Also, we're almost out of eggs, red heart." I stared at my phone. Rent. Eggs. I didn't even have a working fridge. I was sleeping under a Christmas tree skirt. I didn't respond. I just stared at the blinking message like it was sent from another dimension. That's when something snapped. I realized I wasn't just being inconvenienced. I was being taken for granted. Again. And this time, I wasn't going to take it lying down. Or curled up on a twin mattress between a box of glitter and a plastic pumpkin labeled Autumn 14. No more closet life. It was time to reclaim my dignity, or at least a room with a door. The next day, I drove straight to a budget extended stay motel near the freeway. It was wedged between a Waffle House and a car wash called Soapy Joe's. Glamorous? No. Quiet? Also no. But at least nobody there was stealing my salmon. I booked a room for a week. It smelled vaguely like Lysol and despair, but it had a door that locked and a mini fridge all to myself. I hadn't felt that kind of freedom since freshman year. Right after moving into my dorm and realizing no one could make me attend church on Sundays anymore. That night, I texted my parents to let them know. Me. Taking a few days to figure stuff out. Staying elsewhere for now. 15 minutes later, my phone rang. "Mom. Drew, what do you mean you're staying somewhere else? You can't just walk out. Your father and I were counting on you for rent and groceries. I blinked. You mean the rent I pay for the room you gave away? You're being dramatic, she said. It's not like we kicked you out. You moved me into a sewing cave and gave my apartment to a man whose last business idea involved selling Bluetooth-enabled toaster ovens. Forgive me if I'm not feeling appreciated. She sighed. You're part of this family, and families make sacrifices. I've sacrificed for 3 years, I snapped. I sacrificed my space, my sleep, my bank account, and for what? So Blake can play Xbox while I host Zoom meetings from behind a curtain? She got quiet. I could hear her pass the phone to my dad. This is typical, he said immediately. Running away when your family needs you. I laughed. Running away? I went to a motel. I didn't enlist in the French Foreign Legion. We're in a tough spot, Drew, he growled. And you're acting selfish. I'm acting like someone who finally grew a spine. But it didn't stop there. Oh no. Because Blake had apparently decided he needed to share his thoughts too. 2 hours later, I got a text. Blake, yo man, I heard you bailed. Not cool. You don't know what it's like having 2 kids, man. We're drowning. We need help. Be a brother. I stared at it for a full minute before responding. Me. Being a brother doesn't mean funding your life. I'm not your sponsor. I'm not your fallback plan. And I'm not paying rent for a room you stole. He read it. Didn't reply. The next morning, my mom tried again. Drew, I don't understand. This is tearing the family apart. No, I replied. The part where you treated me like a roommate you could shuffle around like furniture, that's what did it. I knew then, this wasn't just about the basement anymore. It was about every time I'd been the reliable one. The easy one. The he'll understand son who'd never once been asked what he needed. And for the first time in years, I wasn't going to be that guy anymore. On Sunday, I returned to the house, not because I missed anyone, but because Mom had texted me. We're having a family meeting. Everyone will be there. It's important. If you're wondering, in my family meeting means you're walking into a trap and everyone's already picked a side, and spoiler alert, it's not yours. When I walked in, it was like stepping into a courtroom drama where the defendant forgot they were on trial. My parents, Blake, Katie, 2 of my aunts, and somehow even Uncle Dean were all gathered in the living room like a low-budget intervention. Mom wasted no time. We're worried about you, she said in that voice she uses when she's about to guilt-trip someone into doing something dumb. You've been so distant. That's not like you. I sat down. You mean ever since I got booted from my apartment and was asked to keep paying rent? Dad leaned forward, like this was his big emotional moment. We're trying to hold this family together. Blake is struggling. And instead of helping, you ran off. Ran off. I blinked. I moved 10 minutes away to a $60 a night motel next to Soapy Joe's. Then Blake jumped in, of course. It's just, you don't get it, man. Mia keeps asking why Uncle Drew doesn't come home. Do you want me to tell her you don't care? I nearly launched into orbit. Oh, we're playing the disappointed child card now. Great. Why don't you also tell her I lived in a glorified supply closet while her dad was chilling in my old apartment watching ESPN on my TV? Katie chimed in. You've always been the responsible one. It's not like Blake asked for this. No, I said. He just keeps expecting people to save him from it. And Sharon tried to mediate. Drew, sweetie, maybe you're just not seeing the big picture. Oh, I'm seeing it just fine, I replied. The big picture is me paying rent, buying groceries, giving up my space, while Blake treats adult responsibility like it's a Kickstarter campaign. That's when Mom cried. Classic move. Hand to heart, tearful eyes. I just don't understand how you can be so cold. Cold? I asked. You made me feel like a guest in my own life. Blake got the apartment, the groceries, the you're doing your best speeches. I got a sewing room and a reminder that rent's due on the 1st. Ryan, sorry, Blake, opened his mouth to respond, but I cut him off. And by the way, while we're being honest, when you blew my Netflix login and asked for it again, I gave it. When you needed diapers, I sent money. But when I asked for quiet so I could keep my job, I was told I was being dramatic. The room got quiet. Even Uncle Dean stopped chewing whatever snack he'd brought like this was his personal Super Bowl. I stood up. I'm done. I'm not your babysitter. I'm not your wallet. And I'm not your guilt sponge. Dad muttered something about how I was tearing the family apart. I turned toward the door. You already did that when you decided one kid deserved comfort, and the other could live in a room decorated entirely with snowmen. And with that, I walked out. Again. But this time, it felt final. You'd think storming out of a family ambush would buy me some peace. Nope. By Tuesday, my phone was vibrating like it had ambitions of becoming a blender. Missed calls, guilt-tripped texts, even a Facebook post from Blake so passive-aggressive it practically came with a coupon for emotional manipulation. He didn't name me directly, of course. Just posted a vague status. Some people turn their backs on family when things get hard. We're doing our best. Please send prayers folded hands. The comments? A nightmare. You're so strong. Keep your head up, King. My cousin went through the same thing. Family can be so cold. I was apparently now the villain in Blake's personal soap opera, and every distant cousin was treating it like must-see TV. I ignored it. Blocked him. Blocked Mom. Blocked Aunt Sharon for good measure. Mostly because she commented. Kids these days just don't understand sacrifice. But it didn't stop there. 2 days later, my manager pulls me aside. Hey, Drew. I got a strange call. I groaned. From my mom. He looked apologetic. She said you were under a lot of stress and might need time off. Also something about housing instability. My soul left my body. I'm fine. I said, probably too fast. Totally fine. I live in a hotel, but on purpose. He nodded, doing that slow blink people do when they're processing trauma in real time. Okay, just let me know if you need anything. That night, I called my mom. Why would you call my job? I asked, already exhausted. I was worried about you, she sniffled. You haven't responded to any of our messages. I blocked you because you kicked me out of my apartment and expected me to keep funding the circus. Your brother is struggling, Drew, she said. And I'm not. I had to move into a motel next to a car wash. My room key smells like Febreze and failure. She handed the phone to Dad. You're making a big deal out of nothing, he grunted. You made a big deal when I stopped paying for your groceries. Now suddenly, I'm the problem? He started one of his patented lectures, but I hung up. I was done listening to the people who only called when something needed fixing. Weeks passed. Then, I got a call from a mutual friend. You hear what happened to Blake? Nope. Apparently, karma did. Blake's freelance job dried up. Jenna left, took the kids, the car, and according to Facebook, started dating a chiropractor. My parents tried to cover the mortgage on their own and failed. The house. Foreclosed. They all had to move. Separately. My former basement suite. Empty now. I'd love to say I felt triumphant. But really, I just felt tired. I moved into a one-bedroom apartment 2 towns over. Quiet. Clean. No bins of Easter decorations. No one playing Blippi at full volume. Just me, a couch, and a working fridge I stocked with yogurt that nobody touched. Therapy helped. So did not being someone's backup plan anymore. I didn't go back. Not for birthdays. Not for holidays. Not even when Blake posted a long apology video that ended with him asking people to support his new podcast, Dad Talk with Blake. No thanks. My story doesn't end with reconciliation. It ends with peace. Which, honestly, was the one thing I'd been trying to buy all along.